As usual, I'm going to be looking at all your altcoin requests this week, but it's important to understand and identify exactly what impact this has got with Bitcoin dropping this key support. And collectively, as far as the altcoin market's concerned, how is that holding up against Bitcoin? We need to be asking these questions. And I've got lots of chart requests from you guys. I'm going to be doing all of this over the weekend. Solana, Cardano, XRP, DOT, Chiliz, Pith, CRO, Centrifuge, and Theta. But firstly, it's important that we do this full market review because we need to understand exactly if these altcoins have got a good chance of pumping within the next few days. Before we do that, we need to understand what the risk curve is going to be like during the course of the next 7 days going into the crypto market, and whether Bitcoin is going to keep dropping and how that's going to impact the rest of the market. So the first thing that we need to do to understand exactly where we are during the next 7 days within the risk curve as far as altcoins are concerned is to understand how they're performing against Bitcoin. Bitcoin leads the way, altcoins follow. And if there's any signals in between, when we look at these markets collectively, it gives us an indication whether these things that you've chosen, XRP, DOT, Chiliz, Pith, all of these cryptos are actually going to run on the back of that. So we're going to look at Bitcoin. One thing that we need to identify here is, are we going to get an ABC equal measured move? That's a healthy pullback. If we come back into support, that holds, then expect a further move to the upside. So we talked about this in the Real Infinite Crypto channel. I'd said that we needed to breach this level, 112,908. We didn't manage to breach it. We got rejected from this level. So what happened? We put in a new low. Is this the low? What we're going to do is we're going to use a fib-based trend extension, this tool here, and we're going to measure all the way from this top here, all the way to this swing, and then all the way back up to this swing to see if we've got any key levels. Now, if we look at this, this is what we measured before. We've got 105,000 support. We've got 101,000 support going all the way down to 100,000. So we built out these key areas, and you can see that the one-to-one coincides with this previous resistance, which flipped support. So that one-to-one is sat at 104,748 to 105,000. You've got your 1272 all the way down here, 101,192, which also coincides with the 200 daily moving average. So we've got a lot of support to fall back on a Bitcoin. That's the extension levels. If we pull back, how is that going to impact the rest of the market? So we go further down the risk curve, further down the risk curve. It's Ethereum. This is Ethereum against the dollar. And you can see when you look at Bitcoin, downside, you look at Ethereum, Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. And we understand that. And we identified that by looking at the Bitcoin Ethereum chart. They all paint a big picture. So Ethereum's holding up. We've had a drop on Ethereum since its high of to where price is now, 10%. With Bitcoin, we've had a drop so far of 13%. Remember, 13% of Bitcoin, as far as market cap's concerned, is huge compared to 10, 13% of Ethereum, because obviously Bitcoin is the biggest market cap leader. We know Bitcoin is 57.95% of the whole of the crypto market now. This is the Bitcoin dominance. One thing is we're in a downtrend. One thing is we're pumping to the downside, which is making sure that the altcoins are holding up against Bitcoin. Bitcoin's losing steam. The dominance is telling us that. That's showing. We've got confidence into the altcoins for them to start outperforming for the first time in about 3 years. So the next thing we're going to look at is, of course, the Bitcoin and Ethereum chart. And this is the thing that we've been talking about quite a lot on the channel, because I'd said half price Bitcoin. And we're going to do more half price Bitcoin videos if you want more half price Bitcoin. But as far as Ethereum's concerned, the second least risky asset within the whole of the crypto space, this one's nearly completed. This one's nearly dead. This move's invalidated. You need to go further down the risk curve to be able to get your half price Bitcoin by just stacking a different altcoin, waiting for it to do 100% against its Bitcoin pair, and converting that back to Bitcoin. That's the equivalent of you getting a half price Bitcoin. This one's near completion now. I done a video down here, 0.02302, and I'd said the completion's all the way up here at 0.04604. So that's not far from completion now, and that is, my friend, a half price Bitcoin. 13.4% away. So Ethereum's done. You need to go further down the risk curve. On the Real Infinite Crypto channel, I identified Cardano. That could be the next one that could run against Bitcoin, harder against Bitcoin, to be able to give you that half price Bitcoin opportunity again. But the second least risky asset was Ethereum. Ethereum's outperforming Bitcoin. We can see that Ethereum's holding up against Bitcoin. The next thing's going to be this, the USDT dominance. Now, this is the thing that's concerning me, and this is the one thing that's concerning me, because this was the trend line. We've had a break of the trend line, and we haven't breached this area here, 4.58%. We are getting rejected at this level. And if we see something like this, a pullback and a further move to the downside, that's going to be people selling their Tether. That's going to be people selling their altcoins, and that's going to be people buying altcoins. Sorry, selling their Tether, selling their stable coins, should I say, and that's buying altcoins. When they're buying altcoins, they increase the market cap of altcoins. When they increase the market cap of altcoins, it decreases the market cap of USDT Tether. And a move to the downside is exactly what we're waiting for. So we've looked at dominance, we've looked at the strength of the dollar, we've looked at how Ethereum's performing against Bitcoin. It's performing really well against Bitcoin. Next thing's going to be the VIX. Now, this is outside of crypto. This is the volatility index of the S&P. Why does this matter? Because this is the macro. As far as the macro is concerned, we need to understand, are people fearful to be buying stocks right now? Are people fearful to be jumping into the S&P? People are not fearful. When people are fearful, the VIX does this. When people are fearful, the VIX does this. The VIX is all the way down here at its low. People have got confidence in the S&P. And guess what? S&P putting in new all-time highs. So the S&P is consistently putting in new all-time highs. People have got confidence in the market. And then we've got total 3. So we've seen that this drop on Bitcoin, that created fear, that created panic in the market. You can look at the bubbles today, mixed bag. You've got a couple of big ones there. Most of them are red. However, Bitcoin's dropped, altcoins haven't dropped as hard. So total 3. This is looking pretty good. We are 12.2% away, 12.2% away from its previous all-time high in 2021, all the way up here. And that is, my friend, my exit strategy. As soon as we hit that, then I'm going to be scaling out our position over a period of weeks, a little bit off the table, a little bit off the table, a little bit off the table. And the way that I plan to do it is with narrative drives. If any of my bags are narrative driven during that course where I'm going to be distributing out of the market, I'll be taking them ones that have run by narrative. That means that you can collectively get the most gains by waiting for the ones that have run, taking profits off the ones that have run, the ones that haven't run, waiting for those to run by narrative, taking profits on those, maximizing your gains during the altcoin season. Because it is important that you have that exit strategy. These things are high risk, these things are volatile, and you've got to time them right. Next thing, we're going to look at the others against BTC. Now, we talked about the risk curve. We talked about Ethereum against Bitcoin. We talked about Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin. But as far as altcoins are concerned collectively, and this is a chart which shows you the altcoins which are outside of the top 10, outside of your Cardanos, your XRPs, outside of your Ethereums, outside your Solanas, all of these big boys, take those out of the top 10, and then you've got the high risk. Now, this chart represents high risk against Bitcoin. So all of the big players, all of the big ones outside the blue chips, all of the risk against Bitcoin. And guess what? We've broken the 200 daily moving average. And guess what, my friends? What's happening right now, as we speak, in front of you, we have got a golden cross on the others chart against Bitcoin, which is happening right now, which is collectively showing me that these altcoins are really going to start outperforming Bitcoin. Look at this bleed here. This is Bitcoin season. Look at this bleed. Look at where the others chart is against Bitcoin. This thing's ready to pump. This thing's ready to pump. And the only way that this is going to be invalidated if price action pulls all the way back down here. Highly unlikely. That's a less probable move. That's given confidence in the market. So that is about it for me for now, guys. We're going to be looking at all your altcoin requests. How do you get on the Discord group? Because the Discord group is completely free. You've got your video chart requests. We've got all the chat here. We've got trades, share your charts. We've got all sorts of different things here. So get yourself in the Discord group. And the way that you do it, guys, is clicking the link in the description. This is what confuses people because you end up here. This is to stop bots. So there's lots of bots in here. What you need to do is you need to filter through all the way up to the top, all the way up to the top. Until you get to the top, you'll see something that says solve captcha. So you solve that captcha, that proves you're not a bot. And once you solve that captcha, you get access to all of these great stuff here. The servers on the left-hand side. Go into the chart requests, stick in what your chart requests are. And I've promised these guys that I'm going to do each and every single one of these over the weekend. So I'll see you in the next one.